Hello, everybody, and welcome to the program we're going to do today. The Shift is Accelerating, Patience 2.0, sponsored by the Institute of Heart Math and Global Coherence Initiative. This is Howard Martin, and I certainly hope that you're doing well wherever you are around the world listening to this broadcast. It's going to be a pretty big event today, actually. We've got over 3,500 people that have registered for this, so apparently you all have a lot of interest in the shift and what's going on and what we can do to make the most of it and to contribute to it as well. So I'm very happy to be with you. Many of you know me. For those of you that don't, I am the Executive Vice President with Heart Math, one of the folks that has been here since the beginning and helped our founder, Dr. Childrey, start Heart Math. I'm a steering committee member of Global Coherence Initiative, and proud to say that, author of the Heart Math Solution, etc. And so it's an honor and a privilege for me to have a chance to share with you some of my views and the views of my colleagues here at Heart Math about the shift, about where we are in this shift today, where things are moving, and again, what we can do and what's important to do right now in context of the shift. So let me begin by laying out a statement that I believe that humanity has reached a critical juncture and that we are on the threshold of a new stage of social, spiritual, and cultural evolution. And I think that many people are feeling that now. We sense something. We think that these are important times, that we are at a critical point where we are making choices and decisions that will have impact upon our immediate and long-term futures for many, many years to come. So it's a chance to make a big difference, and it's a great opportunity that we have today to make some changes and to usher in a new era that we hope is going to be an era that promotes more harmony and peace and prosperity for everyone all around the world. And certainly there's a lot to do. There are a lot of daunting challenges associated with that, but I think that many of us hold a vision of a new future that is emerging today. The way I see it is that a new world is in fact emerging. You know, the shift, as it's so called, and let me just go back and say that the shift is a term that's been used for quite a while now, actually, to sort of characterize these times, to give some context or a name for what we are experiencing and going through. And many people today feel it in different ways, whether they call it a shift or not. I think that the shift is popular in certain areas where people study these sort of things, have an interest in consciousness and consciousness expansion and growth, etc. For some people, they don't refer to it that way, but for just about everybody that I talk to, they're sensing something. They're sensing that something's going on, that things are changing. I can be somewhere out in the world, on the road somewhere, being in a taxi and say, tell me, how you feel about your life today, just in general conversation. And generally I get back something that relates to the shift. Wow, things are changing for me so fast. I've never seen so much going on in my life as ever before. And then a lot of times they talk about some of their insecurities about the things they see in the world and some of the concerns they have. So in general, I think that we are seeing this new world beginning to emerge. To me, the shift is bigger than us, just bigger than human beings. So it's a global and planetary shift. It's a cosmic shift in many ways. And the very fabric of consciousness itself seems to be morphing and changing. And as consciousness changes, it begins to filter down into the psychological paradigms that we use to determine what reality is and how the world functions and how we see ourselves and how we see each other and how we relate to each other. And then that filters down into the societal systems that sort of govern the planet. Things like government and education and science and religion and these major institutional structures. All that filters back down into, how we live our lives. What are the values that we bring to our lives? What are the behaviors that we bring to our lives? And all that is changing very, very quickly, and a new world seems to be emerging, right in the context of the one that we've had before. As this new world begins to sort of push out against the old one, it creates points of tension, friction, so to speak. As the old world, the old ways of thinking, the old ways of perceiving push back in, the new world's pushing out, we see tension. And I see that a lot in sort of the polarization that we often see in the world today, where things are really, sort of separate and polarized, and hardcore stances being taken on one side of an issue or another. Certainly, we see it in the context of things like, the wars that we see, and the unrest we see in different parts of the world. We also see it in things like the changing of the weather. For example, as I'm speaking to you right now, and for those of you listening to this later on a recording, but it'll be past this time, but as I speak to you now, there's a major, what they're calling superstorm, for example, that is formed off the east coast of the United States. It's headed right into the most populous areas of the United States. So there's a lot of sort of anxiety around that right now, a lot of focus and emphasis, and people are watching that to see what happens. That's an example, of a weather change or something that's going on. But certainly there are many, many changes happening that, that look chaotic, that, that represent the friction that's taking place as the new world pushes out against the old world. But that's all part of the shift, all part of the time period that we live in, all part of this era of high-speed change that we're going through right now. So right now we're in the year 2012, and there's been a lot of emphasis for a long time now put on this year 2012. It's been looked at as a very, very important year, an important time period, and even locked down to a specific date of December 1st, 2012 as being a very, very important date. The way I see it is this, is yes, 2012 is definitely an important time period, but a lot of the years right now are very important in terms of the choices that we're making, choices that we're making that are going to help shape our future, the future of our personal lives and the future of our society and the future of the planet itself. I think, and I don't have an exact figure on any of this, but I think that it's an 80 to 100-year time period, and there's been some years preceding it, and there's going to be some years coming after it through this window of time when high-speed change is occurring. 2012, this time period we're in, is kind of like right in the middle of it. But it's an era, it's a window. If you look at if it was 80 to 100 years, if you think about, the thousands of years that there's been evolution on the planet, and you look at this one little time window where a huge amount of change is going to occur, it is a very, very important time. It's actually a dimensional shift in the fabric of consciousness, and it will set up a new world. It will function very differently than the one that we live in. It's going through its progressions. It's going through its processes right now, and we're right in the middle of it. And 2012 is a year that's right in the middle of that. Now, all year long, during this year, 2012, there's been a lot of emphasis on it and on the December 21st date. We're approaching that date. We're less than 2 months away from this date that's been signified as being a very, very important date in the history of the world. So that's why we wanted to do this program for you today. Also, we're going to be gathering, later on this year. We're going to do the first Global Coherence Initiative gathering we've ever done. We're going to do it down in Mexico, right in the heart of the Mayan country. I'm going to talk about the Mayan calendar predictions in a minute. But we're going to be doing that in December, and this is sort of a prelude to that event. These are things that we're doing here at HeartMath to help facilitate as best we can in doing our part through these changing times. So what does 2012 have to do with it? Well, some interesting things have come up around this particular time period in this date of December 21st. One of the main ones is the Mayan calendar predictions. A long, long time ago, the Mayan culture somehow figured a way to map things out, looking at astrological influences, etc., and they created what's called the Mayan long-form calendar. Many of you listening today are probably familiar with this. And they divided it into these long time periods that they call baktuns that last 5,125 years each, and there's been 13 of these. And they're coming to the end now where the Mayan calendar stops. It just stops at the end of the 13th baktun, which is on December 21st of this year. But what it represents is a 5,125-year cycle, and what they were mapping out is that there are major changes that occur at the end and beginning of any of these cycles. So I've been looking into this a little bit, reading some things, recently to see what's being said out there now about this, about the next subject, which is the galactic alignment and so on, just to see what's out there. And I've also had, an advantage of being around some of the people that talk about these things, like some of the people that are experts on the Mayan calendar, for example. They're just people that have been speaking at some of the same conferences I've spoken at and had a chance to sit and chat a little bit. So the Mayan calendar predictions say that, this is the end of the Mayan calendar, and so many people have interpreted that as just the end of the world. So there's an apocalyptic view sometimes of what's taking place. It's the end of something catastrophic is going to take place. Excuse me. when I talk to people that have studied this, they said, no, wait a minute, that's a spin that people are putting on it. We've never said that, and the Mayans have never said that. It's the end of what they were tracking, but the belief is it's the beginning of something. There's even some scholars now that are finding other information from Mayan ruins, et cetera, that say that they see where it goes on past this, that they went in a new direction after the end of this particular type of calendar. So there's a lot of speculation around that and what the Mayans really meant, but the people that I've talked to said, no, it's an opening, it's a beginning, it's not an ending of anything. But the Mayan calendar predictions have certainly had an influence over the emphasis that people have put on this year, 2012. Another aspect of this is the galactic alignment that will happen on the 21st of December of this year. And so what's happening is that the Earth, the Sun, are coming into an alignment with what they call the galactic equator. So, our galaxy is gigantic. It's like 100 million years across, and at the center there's a large area, and generally it's a big giant black hole. And my understanding from having done some reading is that most galaxies have a big giant black hole at their center, and ours does too. So the Earth is going to come into an alignment with the center of the galaxy along the equator of our galaxy. Now, what's interesting is that this happens all the time. It happens every year, actually. And so some astronomers are saying, look, this is no big deal. This goes on all the time. It happens annually. Once a year at some time, the Sun and the Earth align with the equator of the galaxy. Others are saying, no, wait a minute, there's something really different about this one. This is happening at the winter equinox, and there's also some other planetary alignments that are occurring at the same time, and that what's happening right now only happens every 25,800 years when it lines up the way that it's going to line up on the 21st. So there's actually a lot of interesting debate between astronomers and people that study these things around the importance of this particular alignment that's going to happen on the 21st. So who knows? Again, there's different opinions about it. But for sure, it's an interesting time, and an interesting time when things are aligning in a unique way on this particular date. So when you add all that up, you add the Mayan calendar predictions, which have become popular. You look at the galactic alignment and all that's being said about that, and then there are other things being said about, about shifts that will be occurring, cosmic shifts, and all kinds of predictions that are being made with this numerology. All kinds of factors are being brought into it, and it all points to the fact that something important is happening this year at this time. At the very least, millions of people are really focusing their attention on this. What it's done is it brought a lot of attention to change. It's brought a lot of attention to the need for change and the focus on change. So it's really, been a good time, actually, because there are literally millions of people all over the world in thousands and thousands of groups that have been focusing on the shift now. That much attention, that much consciousness, that much emotional content being put towards something is bound to have an effect. And that's really an interesting part of the whole thing, whether the Mayan calendar predictions are true or not, whether the galactic alignment's a big deal or not. It still adds up to the fact that there's a lot of emphasis and focus right now on creating this new world, on creating the change that we all kind of want and that we feel inside our own hearts. That's really interesting. That's really good news to me. So it's an interesting window of time that we're in right now. There are a lot of TV shows on it. There are certainly a lot of documentary movies on it. Again, it's just a lot of emphasis. There was even a big Hollywood movie that came out, I think 2 or 3 years ago that was apocalyptic in nature. So a lot of people know about the 2012 time period, and that's what 2012 to me has to do with the shift. Sure, it's going to go on past that, and then life is going to go on after the December 21st. But the emphasis right now is on on what we can do to change things in ourselves and what we can do to help the world. I think that's a lot of that happening right now. Trying to get my little slide to move. There we go. So what's going on in terms of us and what we feel? Well, many people today are feeling the things like you see on your screen right now. To me, there's a lot of emotional energies, like waves of emotional energy that are moving through planetary consciousness, and they're changing all the time. We really have to stay on top of things because the emotional energetics, the term that I'll use, are constantly shifting and constantly flowing, and we're affected by that. We are influenced by that, and we are participating in those emotional responses as well. So I sense sort of a lot of different things happening inside of people, and those things change really quickly. They move, they flow. Sometimes we feel a sense of excitement. Boy, what an interesting and exciting time to be alive. And sometimes we feel optimism, like, there's so much positive change happening in the world. And I do see that. I see a lot of things changing, and consciousness changing, and new things coming into fruition. So I do have a very hopeful and optimistic view of what's taking place during these times. So sometimes we feel that. Certainly, right now especially, there's a sense of anticipation. Many people want to see something happen during this time period, something that's confirming in a way. Some people think that, they're anticipating something bad is going to happen, something negative is going to happen. So there's a lot of anticipation around something happening. I don't know if something that's big and gigantic and noticeable will happen or not. What I do know is that there's a lot of anticipation about it. And certainly I think that, again, as I said a minute ago, it's an important year, but it goes on. And 2013 is going to be an important year as well. So whatever happens this year, whatever we're anticipating, it's going to go on from there. So there's a lot of anticipation about that. Well, as the emotional energetics flow, sometimes that anticipation turns into anxiousness. Anxious about what is going on. What could this be? Is there going to be something really bad or negative that happens, during this, sometime during the rest of this year? And there's an anxiousness and an uneasiness in people sometimes about what's happening in the world today, especially when there's bad news or when things do happen, that we see on the news or on television. It causes sometimes, an underlying sense of anxiety and anxiousness within us. That leads sometimes to uncertainty. We just don't know. We can't see. We're uncertain about the future. That gets down to our personal lives, about things like, finances and the overall economies that we live in, and the political situations that are occurring now. We have elections in the United States. There'll be a change of leadership in China very soon, and there's been elections in Europe that have been important, et cetera. So people look at these things. They're uncertain about what this means to them, where things are going. So this uncertainty can sometimes be pervasive as well. And then that actually can go, and I've talked to people who are just very open about it, a very fearful state. They're afraid. All this change is happening so quickly, and it's hard to understand what's going on, and none of us can really see a clear view of exactly what's going on. And because of the anxiousness and uncertainty that creates, it sometimes leads to just feelings of fear, fearful about the future, fearful about today. So this soup of emotions seems to be there a lot right now during this era that we're calling the shift, and especially this year. Sense of excitement, optimism, anticipation, but also anxiousness, uncertainty, and even fear. So there's a lot of energy flowing through us all right now, and I certainly feel it myself. I certainly have my days when I have, days that are better days than other days. What I'm finding for myself is that, and I think this is a good thing, but that I get clearer views now into the things that I need to change, the things I need to work on. Some of the feedback that comes to me is more immediate these days. It's more poignant. It's more on point about the things that I need to look at, where I need to put more emphasis on my personal growth, where I need to make the changes that I need to make, where I need more love, where I need more care. All those things are up from me stronger today. Sometimes that is an uncomfortable feeling when I have to look at these things in myself. But when I really step back and I really find that solid self-security that comes from my own heart, from my own best friend, I see it as an opportunity. I see it as part of the evolutionary spiral. It's helping me move on so that I can make the most of these times, and also so that I can contribute more in these times. So I don't know if any of you listening now have been experiencing something similar. If you have, the first thing I'd say would be to have compassion for yourself. See that you're doing good things, you're doing the best you can, and that these things are coming up for a reason. Some of the things that we can see as challenges are really, it's not just the silver lining in the cloud approach, but there really are, from a mature perspective, great opportunities to grow and to move to this next level and to find the flow with the shift. So maybe you felt that for yourself, and maybe you felt some of the emotions or the combination of the emotions that you see on the screen now. So that's kind of where I see the shift today. and what's been going on in the shift for a lot of people. So it's important that we adopt some attitudes and perspectives that give us the ability, excuse me, my screen went out, that give us the ability to roll these changes a little easier. So what I want to do with all of us today, and certainly for myself as well, is to talk about two things and then to do a hard focus exercise with everybody. So what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about ease, I want to talk about patience, and then we're going to do a technique where we access a state within ourselves called point zero. So as it says on the screen, how can we make the most of these times? How can we make our greatest contribution to this shift now? So the things that I'm going to share with you next are really things that, sure, they have an ongoing application, for the rest of our lives, really. But they are also very important in this time period, right now, between now and through the rest of this year. Three things that I think can be very helpful, both in terms of how we make the most of these times and how we can also make our greatest contribution to the shift. The first thing I'd like to talk about is about ease. Now, ease is something that we've talked about before in HeartMath. There's a booklet, a free booklet on the HeartMath websites on this state of inner ease, something that our founder, Dr. Childry, has put a lot of emphasis in, something that he began to talk with me and others here at HeartMath about maybe a couple of years ago. And he characterized it very differently in saying it's not just, hey, just take it easy and kick back or whatever. He talked about it being a state of consciousness and about becoming a way of life. He also said that it was something that we would really need. It would be essential as the shift accelerated to find this state of inner ease, the state of consciousness. So the way I've looked at it is just like an energy or a frequency, so to speak, that I tag into or try to tag into, that I bring into my system that allows me to move through my life and my days with more poise and more grace. And in the beginning, it was a little hard for me to sort of tag into it, and it didn't seem like that much or that big a deal. But as I began to dig deeper and explore it more, I found that, wow, there's something really important here. And today I can say that, working on accessing the state of inner ease and then trying to apply that in my day is one of the most important things that I have done and need to do, because my life's getting faster like everybody's. More going on with less time to do it than ever before. And I do have the emotional swing shifts that any of us would have, and I am seeing more things in myself that need to be worked on. So the ease thing has become really essential in this process for me. So let me describe it to you. Inner ease is like a quiet doorway into our presence, while also being a simple reflection of instinctive common sense. Those are some of Dr. Childry's words. So ponder that for a minute if you would. Inner ease is like a quiet doorway into our presence. So it's into ourself, our deeper authentic self, while also being a simple reflection of our instinctive common sense. That's a beautiful way of describing it. Practicing inner ease increases our conscious memory to include our heart as our mind and emotions navigate through daily choices and feelings that decide the quality and direction of our life. So practicing inner ease increases the memory to also include the heart, because our mind and our emotions are going to go all over the place. And we need to bring the heart into the process to help navigate through the daily choices and the feelings that we have that really determine the quality of our lives, the direction our lives are going. And going back to what I said earlier about the critical choices that we're all making individually and collectively during these times. So what I'd like you to do now, if you would, is just try to find a feeling inside yourself. Like just focus your attention right in the area of your heart, right in the core of your being. Just feel the energy sort of shifting down from your mind or your head, just focusing it right down the area in the center of your chest. And just breathe nice and naturally and normally. And as you do, just try to maybe slow down the vibratory rate of the mind and emotions a little bit and see if you can just tag into a feeling of ease, a gentle flow in your heart. The kind of feeling it takes the rough edges and corners off of life. Just an easy, gentle feeling inside, in the warmth of your own heart. It's like a soothing liquid feeling. It brings in that conscious memory of our heart and helps the mind and emotions navigate through the choices we make, moment to moment, day to day. Choices that determine the quality and direction of our life. Help balance out the ups and downs and the swing shifts that are going on through the acceleration of the shift. Okay, now, as I said a minute ago, it's something that you learn to cultivate, a sensitivity that you can develop. So if you do your meditations or your whatever exercises you do, for me it's heart-focused practices like the heart Lycan technique. What I try to do is just to begin to experiment and try to tag into a feeling of inner ease inside myself. Begin to tune to that frequency, that energy, and bring it in so that it begins to instate itself more in my consciousness. And then what I do is during the course of my day, I try to remember that. And as things start going fast, things get busy, this meeting to that meeting, to this phone call, to this email, and this didn't suit me, and that was pleasant, but this isn't, etc. I try to go back and find that feeling of ease inside myself. Now, if you want to, you can go to Institute of Heart Math site, heartmath.org, and somewhere on the site there, I can't remember where it is right now, there's a free booklet you can download on the inner ease technique, on inner ease in general, and you can learn more because in our program today we don't have time to explore it further right now, but you can learn about it more and try to ingrain it into your life just by getting the inner ease booklet. So I would encourage you to do that. I think it's also on the Global Coherence Initiative website as well. Ease can lead us to another very, very important place inside ourselves now called patience. And certainly we've all heard about and been taught about patience our whole lives. But what's happening in this shift is some of exactly the same things that we've seen before are turning upward on a spiral that's going up in consciousness. So they're taking on new understanding and new meaning as the shift accelerates, as the spiral of consciousness begins to move up into the next dimension of expression. So patience now takes on new understanding and new meaning. And it's important that we're patient right now because so many things are happening so fast, and people want something to happen in the shift, for example. They want the change to be today. They want the changes in themselves to be there now. But we have to find a place where we allow things to unfold in a natural order of things, because it's a big old shift that's happening out there right now. Bigger than us, bigger than the planet. It's a big cosmic shift, so we have to be patient in our association with it. So these are some things, again, that Doc Childry, the founder of Heart Math, wrote recently about patience. I found they were beautiful, so I wanted to include them in the program today. He said, patience is the art of intelligent waiting. I love that line. Patience is the art of intelligent waiting. It is a practice of maintaining a state of peace and resilience when we are tempted to be impatient, especially when the mind wants to force results rather than choosing the flow. So it's a practice where we try to maintain a certain sense of peace and resilience inside ourselves when we feel that feeling inside, that tension inside, when we want to run and create some kind of result too quick or too early rather than choosing just to be at peace and finding a flow with it. And that could be everything from standing in the line at the grocery store to wanting global peace to happen. So it has a lot of spectrum to it. but it's that feeling inside. And I think we all know what impatience feels like. We know that point of tension of, let's say I'm going to catch a plane and I'm standing in the security line and I'm feeling that, the security line's moving too slow and it's going to have a potential of, making me rush or to my plane or miss the plane even. There's that feeling, that tension that's inside right there. So at that point, to remember, patience is the art of intelligent waiting. Just find a place of peace with that. Find the flow with that inside myself. And that's important right now because this acceleration in the shift can create a lot of that feeling of impatience and that tension inside. Here's some more. Impatience is an invitation to frustration, shallow discernment, and faulty choices. With a little intention and practice, we can affect and change things by replacing impatience, the secret sauce for flow. When our hearts truly commit to becoming patient, our minds will surrender resistance and take cooperative steps to manifesting it. So I know for me, and probably for everyone, maybe you can relate to it as well, impatience leads to this feeling of frustration, and in that frustrated place, my discernment gets a lot more shallow, and then often I make choices that are not really the best choices. But if I say really, no, I'm not going to go there right now. I can feel the impatience in me and feel it building. I'm going to really practice not being impatient right now. I'm going to try to replace that with a feeling of peace, a feeling of ease inside myself. And this is where the ease process comes in really handy. You take the feelings of impatience, and then instead you try to replace that with that feeling of ease that we just had a little taste of a few minutes ago. You can begin to smooth that out so that we don't have as much of that edginess and that frustration that occurs in the impatient state. And when we become more patient, then we merge more with the flow of life itself, with the rhythm of life. And as we merge with that flow and rhythm of life, then things can get easier. New things can open up. New possibilities can emerge. But when we're in that sort of a push-pull back and forth resistance, and we lose contact with the flow, then things often just feel more stressful. We just don't feel as good and don't necessarily work out for our highest best. But if we really want to be more patient, and we just ask our hearts to help us with that, the mind will slow down and surrender the resistance. It'll begin to take more cooperative steps through the attitudes and perception shifts that we have to begin to manifest more of that patience. So as I said a minute ago, patience to me is real important right now. We don't need to try to move faster with this shift right now. The shift's moving fast enough. What we need to do is find a place of patience in ourselves so that there's more flow with it all, so that we're merging with the speed of balance and the rhythm of the shift itself. Not trying to push too hard, having intention to grow, intention to change, putting our hearts into the things that we do, but not with this edginess and this driving energy. It's hard right now because the momentum of the shift can cause that to be so prevalent in us. But use the ease technique and that feeling of ease to find that place inside yourself, that warmth in your heart, and then apply it to becoming more patient, watching the feelings and flows of impatience that happen on the little things in our lives and then on the big things as well. And then as we do that, we merge more with the true rhythm of the shift and the balance of the shift. And that will make life better. And we also are contributing something to the energetic field of consciousness that allows it to become easier for other people. And that's where we come into the service aspect of it all, is what we feed that field of consciousness, imprints that field. Not only reflects back to us in our lives, but it also helps to reflect back to others and make things easier for other people. So it's a service as well. It's beneficial to us. It's also something that helps others during these changing times we live in. Okay? So now, I want us to do the point zero technique together. This is a technique that we developed here at HeartMath a number of years ago. We've just been starting to teach it in programs that we give, like in our Heart Mastery courses, for example, which are the courses that people can take where they become part of a community and take the classes from their house and join in on live discussion groups, etc. Been introducing it there recently, and some of the work Institute of HeartMath has been doing has been bringing this to the forefront a bit more as well. So here's why I wanted to do it today. Here's some of the benefits of the point zero technique. when we really get to this place of point zero, it bridges the connection with the spirit of our authentic self and the universal source energy. So it's building that bridge between us, our true, deeper core authentic self, and the guiding universal source energy that is behind the shift anyway. So it brings us to that place of greater alignment. It's a connection to our spirit. It also helps to entrain our hearts, minds, and emotions to work in a synergistic cooperation. So we become more wholeness operators. Heart, mind, emotions all working more synchronously, synergistically, working together, working for the whole. That produces benefits in our life right down to our physical health. Impacts our emotional relationship to life, certainly our mind and what we think, our creativity, all those things, and right on down to the physical body, down to the physical health. So point zero can help all of those things because it's helping to entrain heart, mind, and emotions together. Being in point zero also increases the connection with our intuitive guidance for day-to-day choices. And some of the other things that we've been sharing lately, like in Heart Mastery classes, for example, we have been looking at practical intuition. What intuition is, when you take it out of mystical understanding and put it into day-to-day choices. It's more about being in that flow, being able to see into things with another level of clarity that doesn't require as much back and forth, deductive reasoning processes to reach understanding. It's more direct in its knowingness. Point zero increases connection to our intuitive guidance. We carry that forward into our day. We practice the point zero technique, and then as we move into the rest of our day, we're more in touch with our intuitive guidance. Our heart, our mind, our emotions are more aligned, and we're more in connection with our universal source. That authentic self is more at the forefront of who we are as we project ourselves into the world, into the day. So all those are benefits of the point zero technique. So in our program now, what I'm inviting you all to do is to go into the point zero technique along with me. And we'll take probably about 7 to 10 minutes to do this process. So if you're in a position now where you can close your eyes, I would suggest you do. And if not, of course, just listen and focus in the area of your heart and focus on what's being said. Try to experience it that way. But let's do the point zero technique together now. Step 1, practice inner ease. Go deep inside your heart and still the mental and emotional energetics. Let's just find that feeling of inner ease. Try to slow down the mental and emotional vibratory rates. Now, as you do that, I want you to feel love radiating from your heart as you breathe quietly in the stillness. Don't look for experiences, just be. And this helps create inner coherence and quiets the mind whispers so that spirit and intuition can flow more readily. Now we'll go to step 2. Point zero is like going through the eye of a needle. You can't go through with the baggage of judgments. Radiate love to any judgments of yourself, others, or situations to help neutralize the energy and clear out roadblocks that hinder spirit. So just radiate love to any judgments, yourself, others, or situations that you have come up for you. Just radiate that love to them. Now let's go to step 3. Stay focused on the inner stillness while consciously breathing love and peace into the environment. It means the energetic field environment that you're in now and the energetic field environment of the world. As you do this, gently excuse any thoughts that come up, positive or negative. Know that you can entertain them at another time. Just stay focused on the inner stillness and breathe love and peace into your environment. Okay, now we're entering into point 0. Just imagine point 0 as a circle of pristine peace you're sitting in right now. If thoughts come up, and they will, just don't push against them. Just casually refocus on breathing love and peace into the stillness. And we'll take a few minutes right now and just do that. Point 0, circle of pristine peace you're sitting in. Again, if thoughts come up, and they will, just don't push against them. Just casually refocus on breathing love and peace into that stillness. Okay, what I'd like you to do now, we'll take it one step further. From this place of point zero, I want you to right now, if you can, to just generate and radiate some compassion to yourself, self-compassion. Be kind and gentle to yourself during these times. Take this feeling you have now from being in point zero, give yourself a gift. Compassion for you, all that you do, kindness to yourself. Okay, thank you very much. If you could open your eyes and re-engage, much appreciated. Well, I enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. I certainly feel really good after having gone into the point zero place inside myself. I'll tell you about some other things. Let me recap to where we are so far in our program today. We began talking about the shift in its acceleration, important choice points that we're making, and about humanity, being at this critical juncture, which I believe that we are, and that the shift itself is a big deal in terms of beyond just human beings. It's a planetary and beyond shift that's happening, that a lot of emphasis has been put on 2012, and we're in the latter part of 2012 now, this year that's been designated as so important, heading up to a date that's been identified on the Mayan calendar and through astronomical assessment on the 21st of December as being a very important date. And so the shift is accelerating as we go through all of this, and it's bringing up a lot of really positive things in the world, a new world birthing itself in the midst of the old. We see the points of tension as that's occurring, but a lot of great things are happening. But a lot of emotional swing shifts are occurring too in people, everything from excitement and anticipation and optimism to insecurity and angst and fear. To me, a lot of stress is happening. A lot of people say, to me, I'm just stressed out of my mind right now. So this change is occurring is a great opportunity, but can also be a challenge. So right now, the suggestions that I've made and that things we've been practicing here at HeartMath are to bring in, three things. One would be to find the place of inner ease in yourself and to learn to cultivate that and to bring it into your day-to-day activities, to sort of find that feeling inside, that frequency I called it earlier, an energy that Doc characterizes a way of life, a state of consciousness. Have more patience with yourself, more patience with others, people in your environment, people you work with, your friends, your family, all of that. Recognizing everybody's going through a shift, and have more patience and tolerance for those people. And also for things going on in the world, for the changes that you want to see. And that learn to look at patience as something we've all practiced before, but see it as moving on now in the turn of the spiral of consciousness. And then practice more patience in the day-to-day actions and things that you have, and learn that patience is, really the art of intelligent waiting. I still love that line so much. Then we took it into point zero, a technique that you can practice. Basically you begin with inner ease, and you go to this still place inside yourself, and then you work on taking out the judgments, because it's like going through the eye of the needle to get into this place inside the core of your heart, the very solid core of your being called point zero, and we can't make it through there with a lot of judgments. So try to love those judgments and put those out, and find this place of stillness inside, this place of peace, and radiate that out into your environment. Really just radiate that into the field environment, the one that you're in immediacy, the planet and beyond. Just radiate that into the field environment, and then move into this place called point zero, a circle of pristine peace, and sit right there in that pristine peace. As thoughts come up, you just try to usher them out anywhere along the way, and doing the technique, and just keep refocusing on breathing that love and that peace into that stillness. It's a beautiful technique, something you can practice if it resonates with you and feels right to you. And it brings about more of that intuitive contact, and that, for making choices day to day, it really aligns us more, heart, brain, mind, emotions, all of that begin to line up better when we find that place of point zero in ourselves, and it carries over. It's a carryover effect into our day to day. So that's where we're on the program right now. I mentioned earlier that, we're doing a lot of things here at HeartMath to participate in and be part of this shift, and to make our contributions and do what we can. One of the things that we've never done before is hold an event off-site somewhere where we're going to bring together people that want to be there. It's not designed to be this big, giant event. It's designed to be a very wonderful, blended, exciting event where people are coming together to make an energetic contribution to the shift. And I want to explain that to you just a little bit, because I'm really excited about it. It's going to be fun. We're going to do an event called The Heart of Transformation, Activate Your Heart's Intelligence. It's the first week of December, and we're going to do it right in the heart of Maya country. We're going into Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula. And it's, on the Maya Riviera, so to speak. It's an event hosted by Global Coherence Initiative and the Institute of HeartMath, and also, HeartMath LLC. So we're coming together and saying, okay, let's get together. Let's make an energetic contribution to the shift that's going on, and let's do it in a unique way. Let's have this be a blended, unique experience. So we're going to do it at this wonderful place. It's a wellness center built into a 5-star resort. It's called the Dal Wellness Center, and it's a beautiful facility. It was recommended to me by my friend Greg Braden, who did a presentation there, and it's in this beautiful 5-star hotel in the Mayan Peninsula. These are some pictures you see on the screen now of the facility itself. So all these spa facilities and everything are there, and pools and all of this, and lots of activities and things are involved in that. What we're going to do when we're there is we're going to do it this way. We're going to do a program in the morning every day. The afternoon is going to be open free time so that we can experience what's there, the wonderful things that are there, the beautiful jungles, the swimming, the snorkeling, the spa, all of that. We're going to do that in the afternoon, and then at night we're going to get back and do some other things energetically. So we're going to talk about things like understanding the intelligence of the heart. We're going to talk about resilience and energetics. The science of the Global Coherence Initiative and the Earth's energetics are going to be brought to the forefront a lot more. We're going to talk about the positive emotions and the power of those, about intuition, about really creating the future of our world. The facilitators are going to be myself and Dr. Roland McCready. He's the Director of Research at the Institute of HeartMath. So Roland's going to be doing some amazing things, I'm sure, on the science of the Earth energetics and what's going on around that. And we'll learn tools and techniques and things, and we'll that are on the screen there. after we have our playtime in the afternoon, doing the things that are fun to do in the Mayan Riviera, we're going to get together in the evenings, and we're going to do special heart-focused care meditations and things like that to help increase global coherence. We're going to do our service work. We're going to make an energetic contribution to the field environment itself. As we move towards the 21st of December, what we want to do is to help create a baseline of heart and care and coherence so that it facilitates whatever's going to happen during that time period, to make our heartfelt contribution to that as we move now towards the end of this 2012 year. So it's going to be an interesting, wonderful blending combination, I think. I'm looking forward to it, obviously. I think you can hear the excitement in my voice. Space is going to be limited, so we have, I'll bring that up in a second. But each day we're going to have the open time. I already talked about that. We can enjoy the hotel, the beach, all of that, experience the spa. They have wellness classes there, et cetera, and choose from a range of things that we can do. One of the things we're going to do on Saturday will be optional, but we're going to go to Tulum, one of the Mayan ruins. We're going to, the ones that want to go, we're going to go over there to the Mayan ruins. But there's the snorkeling and the jungle tours and everything that are right there. What I found interesting is that the people at this place actually, once I talked to them, they said they really wanted to be in partnership with HeartMath. And the reason why is that the man who runs it knew of us. His name is Jonathan Ellerby, and he came from Canyon Ranch, the big Medi Spa. And he knew of us, and he really wants the relationship. So he's really made this affordable and acceptable for everybody. So here are the facilitators. Obviously, my picture on the left and Roland on the right. And we're going to do a poll on who's the best looking. I'm sure I'm going to win. Anyway, here's the deal. It's 2012. It's a time of transition and acceleration. We are making these important choices, and they do have an impact on the future of our world. The question that we all have, I think, the question I have personally, and I think that we have collectively as a global society, is how are we going to respond during these times? So if this type of material has resonated with you, I want to invite you to come and join us in Mexico the first week of December. Join us down there in the Mayan Riviera in an environment that I think is going to facilitate a lot of heart, a lot of care, and we're going to learn, we're going to grow, we're going to play, and we're going to do what we can to facilitate the global changes that are coming down right now, make our energetic contribution. This is affordable, actually. The whole event is an all-inclusive event. In other words, once you're there, you get there by flying to the Cancun airport. Once you're there, you're picked up, you're taken to the hotel. All of your food, beverages, hotel rooms, and everything are accommodated into it. There's no extra charges. And then, of course, the training program and all this part of it as well. The cost of it is $1,855. But what we're doing for those of you that are listening to the webinar is we're offering a discount of $165. There's a coupon code you'll see on the screen now. I'm going to leave that up for a little bit for those of you that want to write it down. And you can go to register by going to the URL that's right there on this. You can also find out more about it by going to the Global Coherence Initiative website, and there's a button right on the website on the home page that you can click on to read more about it as well. But all of this money is going to go to Global Coherence Initiative to help the Global Coherence Initiative continue to do the amazing things that it's doing, bringing people together from now over 87 different countries around the world, using heart-focused care and intention to facilitate, the shift. Installing sensor sites around the world, beginning to monitor changes in the earth energetics to look at the effects that we are having as a global society emotionally on these fields and how these fields relate to us, all of that. So everything that we take in from the event is going to go to the Global Coherence Initiative. So if you'd like to come, I'd love to see you there, of course. Continue the work, continue the kind of things that we've done today. So it's an invitation for you. Again, we're not trying to make this a big, giant event. Space is limited there, actually, so we have some space considerations. What we'd like is the people that really want to be there, that feel resonant with this, that can come together. Let's join together in the heart. Let's learn. Let's play. And let's put out something to the world that we think can be beneficial, especially as we move into the end of this year, 2012. So that's my invitation to you. So let me just say in closing that I have enjoyed this a lot. And I thank you so much. I've mentioned there's 3,500 people that have registered for this. So thank you all for your interest in this. It says a lot about you as human beings. about what you care about what you're trying to do to help yourself and others. So I applaud you for that, and I want to honor you for that and thank you for that. So it's been a good morning for me here in California, and good evening to you around the world, of course. But I've had a big time, and I hope you have too, and hope you've learned some things and gained some things that can help you and allow you to help others as we move through the shift. So I'll leave this up on the screen, so in case you're interested, you can write this down. There's your coupon code. There's a URL where you can go check it out, and hopefully I'll see you in Mexico in the early part of December. So with that said, I want to wish you all the very best, and take care.